because when she was first born,
And then I'm
I
done.
had shorts on. She
I'm
Not according to him,
feeling a
but
lot better. I'm just
appropriate dress for city council meeting.
my voice a little bit.
Ebenezer
So-
Jones.
thank you.
Ebenezer Jones.
What did I do now?
Not to be confused with
I saw pictures though. you
Councilmember
posted,
Jones.
And it looked like it was really colorful.
Oh, yes, we try to
Really
not do anything
flash.
Christmas related.
Oh my God.
House is decorated for
Do that all
Per the
meeting.
sign code,
You don't
those
want
are only
these
allowed
things
to flash
flashing.
once every.
She saw the
would give me
band
a headache.
together, Trolls 3, that's like opening
Lights
night.
out.
She was on
Mayor
1 and 2.
flashes at last minute.
Last year too, so I got to review
how the
a lot
media
of like
does it.
decorations and
It's
stuff.
a rumor.
And then,
That's fun.
Well, flashes while husband looks on.
My husband's in crowd.
and then like 2 of her girlfriends that were supposed to come couldn't make it,
our last
but like
meeting, we
when
can
you
say
have the
whatever we want.
pairings and then our other members, like it's the whole party Yeah, we're all just buds. Okay, thanks.
Awesome.
Okay, it's early.
Did it get
Well,
that?
that's fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really such a fun neighborhood. Lots of little kids everywhere. Playing together. I was sharing your. Because my coworker was in Bucharest the same time you were over in Vienna. And he was showing me pictures of the Christmas markets, and I was like, well, you need to see these ones. I was going to. And he was like, that's cooler.
I think it's maybe a little more. I know a lot.
Because I don't want too much.
I think
But Danny, the kid's last day is tomorrow. How's it gonna affect you?
Oh, yeah.
it's in Vienna.
Yeah, I know. I cut down to 3 at
Because
lunch.
they're like the big ones.
Yeah.
Seems like they're always coming back with stuff from you guys.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna want
Yeah, we get quite a-
because it has this
quite a rush from them.
skate.
It's nice when they're at.
Because they adjusted lunch today and tomorrow, so.
They go to the city.
Hey, Allison,
My haircut. Talking to Braden. I was like,
is this your idea of date night?
And this one's such a
It doesn't get cold enough in Tiffin for us to have it.
Give the ring back now, Allison.
Like it was probably pretty bitter there. Yeah.
Throw it back.
Because like they've tried to do it for like that Kris Kringle mark. You have to pay for like coolers to keep the ice cold, and it's just too expensive. Like to do that, like there's no way. So
Oh, no, what?
yeah, so I'm like, somebody put me on the committee next year because I'm
you should join it. You totally should.
Dale's here.
I know Donna, and then
Let this guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
oh my god.
goes to Christmas.
Oh, no, you're going to corrupt the
Whatever we
husband.
call it. And do those like you could go and get your door a cup instead of getting.
See, and he's Christmassy looking too.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
I think that would be fun.
So fun.
Okay, it is 7 PM. I'd like to call the Tiffin City Council meeting of Monday, December 18th, 2023 to order. Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Wilkins.
Please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And the kingdom, the power, and the glory
Forever. Amen. Stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Wilkins.
here.
Councilmember Mansour.
Present.
Councilmember Jones.
Present.
Councilmember Perry.
Present.
Councilmember Reesner.
Here.
Councilmember Spar.
Here.
And Councilmember Thacker.
Present.
Let the record show all 7 members of council are present this evening. Minutes from December 4th, 2023, regular and committee of the whole meetings were distributed, as well as December 11th, 2023, special council meeting. Are there any questions, corrections, deletions? Okay, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We are now under committee reports. Finance Committee, Councilmember Reesner.
No report, Madam President.
Law and Community Planning, Councilmember Mansour.
No report, Madam President.
Materials and Equipment, Councilmember Jones.
No report at this time, Madam President.
Personnel and Labor Relations, Councilmember Perry.
No report, Madam President.
Recreation and Public Property, Councilmember Wilkins.
No report, Madam President.
Street, Sidewalks, and Sewers, Councilmember Thacker.
No report, Madam President.
Thank you. And Economic Development and Downtown Planning, Councilmember Spar.
No report, Madam President.
Thank you. Does anyone see the need to schedule a committee of the whole meeting? Okay, we are now under reports of the officers. Her Honor, Mayor Iannantuono.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone, and as my gift to all of you, I have no reports, I have no updates, and I have no proclamations this evening. However, I would like to thank this community for the opportunity to serve as your 50th and first woman mayor of Tiffin. I have had so many fun experiences that I have never done before, and I just wanted to mention that I've done 14 weddings, and Liz and Tim are getting married next year, and she's asked me to marry them next year, but I will no longer be ordained, and so I'm going through the ordination process so that I can marry them next December, and so I'm very honored that she asked me to do that. I also, well, of course, Bryce is here. He can maybe answer this for me. I have no idea how many ribbon cuttings I have attended, which means business is great in Tiffin, that I can't keep track of all of them. And to my one disappointment is I never got to do a snowplow ride-along, but I asked this morning's meeting, Mary-elect Wilkinson, if I could do it could be grandmothered in, that I could do a ride-along if it snows this coming winter. And he gave me the thumbs up. So I might get yet to do that. So I wish all of you in the city of Tiffin nothing but the best moving forward. And I know you will be just fine under the leadership of Mary-elect Wilkinson. Tiffin is truly blessed with the great department heads and staff as well. I will miss working with my City of Tiffin family. Madam President, that concludes my final report.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor? Don't think about it. No questions? Okay. Councilmember Jones?
You got to do what I call fun things. Weren't you a fire hose, or was that Donna Gross? Or didn't you, Don, go into a burning building and experience
I
that?
did attend a controlled burn.
Controlled burn, okay.
And it's really pretty funny. Chief Pauly shared with everybody the laser image of me in there. He goes, I'm pretty sure that's you, Mayor Dawn. And you could tell it was me. As I mentioned at the time, that one of our firefighters that works with children, his clown name is Stay Low. Okay. And I saw firsthand, attending that controlled burn, that how important it is to stay low, because the black smoke was just billowing up above your head. And so it's a great message that he uses using that name. And so, no, it was great. The firemen were explaining things to me. I got to see how the drones actually interacted with TU, how much drones actually capability they can help police and fire. So it's a great experience.
Okay.
Learned a lot.
Mayor, I have to say, I think I speak for all of us, that thank you for your leadership in the last year and a half. You stepped up at a time that the city and council needed you the most, so.
Thank you. We're trying not to make each other cry.
Clerk of Council Ann Forrest.
No report, Madam
Thank
President.
you. Director of Finance Kathy Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a couple things I would like to mention this evening. The first of which is, I talked a little bit at the Committee of the Whole. There is Ordinance 23-99, which is end-of-year budget adjustments. And a lot of those are projects moving from one year into the next. We're reducing the budget in 23 wherever we can. There are a few increases, and those were to make sure that we have enough for the final payrolls, which will be on the 29th of December. And also, I've put in for advances in case we need to get some reimbursements in before the end of the year for some of those projects. That is to make sure that our funds are not out of balance and showing a negative amount. So if those reimbursements don't make it in time, then we have to have permission to do an advance to make sure that we take care of those. Also, I wanted to get your attention drawn to Ordinance 23-94, which is the budget ordinance, and just make sure everyone is aware that there is a new budget attachment. The mayor proposed a new budget with a 3% increase for non-union, so I went in and I took care of those changes for that. So just wanted to make sure before you vote on it that you have that, that you're aware of that. Then also I have tonight my November 2023 financial report. Total receipts for the month were $5,347,085.24. Total expenses were $6,743,708.40. General fund unencumbered balance is $5,938,427.41. Income tax receipts for November 2023 were $824,155.61. This is a total increase in income tax collections November 23 compared to November 2022, and the difference was $31,993.67. Year-to-date, income tax receipts are up 0.49%. The portion of income tax receipts that was transferred into Fund 215 for public streets for November was $96,063.82. The unexpended balance for all funds was $38,810,519.49, which is the same as the bank balances for the same time period. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Questions for the Finance Director on the report? Councilmember Reesner.
I move to accept the Finance Director's report and bank reconciliation month ending November 30th, 2023.
Thank you. There's a motion to accept the Finance Director's report and the bank reconciliation for the month of November of 2023. Is there a second? Councilmember Mansour.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you, Finance Director. And Director of Law, Brent T. Howard.
Yes, thank you. I thought that I would, I've done this a little bit in the past, give you a report by numbers, but this tonight's kind of a law director report by numbers, kind of a shared history since 1995. So here are the numbers. First day of work for me was September 5th, 1995. That was about 28 years, 4 months ago. The first resolution was Resolution 95-27. It approved my appointment as law director to finish the unexpired term. I was appointed by Dave Martine, mayor. The first ordinance was 95-62. It amended the budget to fund a 7th dispatcher. And I note that we still have 7 dispatchers. In 2023, we introduced 100 ordinances. The high of all the years in the last 28 plus years was 2020. It was 142 ordinances. There were 10 years where you introduced more than 100 ordinances in a year. 17 years you introduced less than 100, and one other year you introduced 100 ordinances. Total resolutions since I began were 1,025. Total ordinances, 2,686. Total resolutions and ordinances combined, 3,711. Also, since 1995 September, there have been 6 mayors, including 1 acting mayor, 5 presidents of the United States, 5 clerks of Tiffin City Council, 0 World Series championships of my beloved Cincinnati Reds. So still waiting on that one. 1 child of mine was born during the 28 plus years. We've had 7 governors in the great state of Ohio. I've owned 2 homes in Tiffin. We've had 7 presidents of Heidelberg University, and that includes 3 interims. 4 presidents at Tiffin University. Now, I don't know, maybe we had an interim there I didn't know about, but we've had 5 finance directors, and finally 1 chair of the Sandusky County, Seneca County, City of Tiffin Port Authority, Jim Supants, and he continues. So I have 13 days left in my term. Last day is at the end of the year, 12/31/2023. So that's my report.
Okay, well, I'm not even going to try with you because I really will start crying. But it's safe to say that you'll be greatly missed, Brent.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? Yes.
On your report, Director of Law, I thought you said there's 5 finance directors and maybe 2 of you don't. but our current one has gotten 2 awards, correct, last 2 years in a row for,
This last one will be 3.
actually 3. Have the other 4 or 5 got awards similar to what Kathy has
I
received?
think Gwen did.
1?
I don't know if the others did or not.
I know Gwen did.
Yeah, they were Larry Clausing, then Gwen Reinhardt, Deb Pine, then Gwen Reinhardt, Jennifer Miller, and then Kathy.
Well, I thought they'd bring it up just for community to know. We got a good, not director of finance director, I believe you're called. So yes, doing a good job.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else before we move on? Okay. We are now under written communications.
We have mayor's request for legislation number 23-50, legislation to authorize the City of Tiffin to issue a resolution of intent, and that is to the Ohio Public Works Commission.
Thank you. Mayor's request for legislation number 23-50 is prepared tonight as resolution 23-32.
That concludes the written communication.
We are now under oral communications. Anyone wishing to address council may step to the podium, sign in, and direct their questions to myself.
Hey, good evening. Zach Fowler from the 4th Ward, and your future law director. So my apologies, Brent. I know you don't like the spotlight on you, but I know I talked with Nick and Bryce behind me about making sure you got that tonight. So just from me, thank you for your 28 years of service. We were together with a couple of attorneys from Squire Patton on Friday, and John Larson said it best, that Brent is just a model law director. So it's been helpful for me the last year or so to learn how to do this, and just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
It's been like forever since I've been in here. I'm Jim Boroff. I was mayor. Well, I was on city council from 2000 to 2008, and 2008, and then mayor for 4 years. So Brent had the displeasure of having to work with me for that long. Before I start, though, Dawn, you want to take a ride along on the snowplow? I hope it's a better experience than mine. I was called by Sue Kuhn, who was the Public Works Superintendent. She called. It was a really terrible night, and she said, "It's your chance for a ride along." I waited about 3 hours, and I can't remember his last name. It was Chuck something or other. But he finally pulled up in front of the house, and he apologized. He had lofted a skunk over on Sandusky Street. And he was driving around to try to minimize the smell. I said, "That's no problem. If you can put up with me, I can put up with the skunk." Okay, so there you go. But anyhow, Brent, it was always a pleasure working with you. And the one thing that I've carried with me in the, 12, 13 years, we had a get-together at the end of my administration. And Brent said, the one thing that I did, that no matter what the circumstances, I put everything else beyond me and did the right thing. Well, Brent was exemplary of that. He always did the right thing. There was never any question. There was never any ulterior motives or whatever. He gave us, as city council and the mayor, the absolute necessary information we needed to make the right things happen. His integrity is impeccable. His work ethic was impeccable. And Brent knows that Bernie Holman and I were good friends, and of course Bernie's no longer with us. But Bernie held him in the highest esteem. So I think I can probably speak for him too, without any kind of reservations. Brent, you just were absolutely what a public servant was all about. You were not a politician. You were a public servant and a real human being. And it was just the greatest pleasure for me to work with you. And I have to say, if you look at him, he actually had more hair than I did when he started. so Brent, I think maybe I was partially responsible for some of that. But you know what? You and I will be the first people to know when it's raining as we walk outside. Okay. Thank you so much for your service. And God bless you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Jim. Now, keep in mind that I've told Zach this, is that when the attention is on the law director, something has gone terribly wrong at a meeting. So something's terribly wrong here.
I know you don't like it, but Bryce Briggs with the Seneca Regional Chamber of Commerce, Destination Seneca County. First want to thank Mayor Dawn for her leadership over the last year. Obviously, it's been a great experience. As you mentioned, we still have one more ribbon cutting tomorrow.
I know.
So please
I'll be there.
Please don't skip on us. You've been very good about being on every single one. Whether you speak to the right person or not, we appreciate having you there. The joke is that Mayor Dawn came to ribbon cutting one time, and they said, so the one with the blonde hair is the one.
No, the one with the ponytail.
The ponytail. So poor Mayor
ponytail.
Dawn is talking to the wrong person, and she's like, congratulations. And I'm like, do I correct her and tell her that she's talking to the right person? And we got it all figured out. But Mayor Dawn, I want to thank you for your leadership.
No, he doesn't tell you that he made fun of me when he got up there.
I still do.
Luckily, I have a great sense of humor and played along, but it was very embarrassing.
Again, just want to thank you for your leadership. Obviously, our organization has had continued, benefits and support from the city of Tiffin on your leadership, and we greatly appreciate that. Brian Howard, Director of Law. When I moved to Tiffin in fourth grade, you were my Cub Scout leader, and I remember meeting at the church over here, First Presbyterian Church in the basement. And my first meeting, I met Sam, and he was in my class's son, and through that. You were my junior achievement volunteer as well. If you believe it or not, Brent actually found the letter that I wrote thanking him in, I think, fifth grade, where I thanked him for coming to my class, which poor Zach Fowler is probably going to absorb all this paperwork that Brent's been keeping. When Brent started that many years ago, I'm sure Dropbox didn't exist or those kind of mechanisms to help clearly cut clutter, but my apologies, Zach, but I just want to say, Brent, through my time here in Tiffin and in the roles I've served, you've always been a role model, whether it be the fun and exciting West End development project with Trilogy, where many times along the way you just said, Bryce, be patient, be patient. At the time I was 26 years old and I want to light the world on fire and do big things, but you're like, look, things happen with time. Again, be patient. So with that, I want to thank you for your leadership, and then the members of council that are coming off this year. I want to thank you for your leadership as well. This community's been through a lot, but with your leadership, things have been great. One person I want to note was Councilmember Wilkins. I remember when I said, hey, Vicki, I think there's a spot opening up. Maybe you should go for it. And she looked at me, she said, me? Go for council? And Vicki grew up in Strongsville, and I told her, you've been here long enough, you're basically a townie, so don't fool anyone. But obviously, it's been great to see all the work that all the council members do. But with that, just again, on behalf of the Chamber and Destination Seneca County, thank you all for your service. I know that you've got up many nights and evenings and weekends to support this community and lead this community. So again, thank you all. And we look forward to seeing all the work that you do. Post-council, you can always come back if you'd like. Even you can.
Okay, thank you. Can you bring that $2 bill?
Be careful what you wish for. I don't know who this guy is. Do you know who this guy is?
Hi, everybody. Dale Thornton, best known as failure in retiring. Retired 4 times now. Last was from the city as the city administrator. Brent, I'm disappointed. I noticed that you talked about how many mayors there were, how many finance directors there were. Nick and I just got left out entirely from that.
I'm trying to forget. No.
That may be true. There's been some comments up here about Brent's guidance to the mayors that have served here, to the city administrators that have served here, to the finance directors, to chief of police, chief of the fire. We always tried to get him to do things that we knew probably were a little easier than if we went through all of the process, and he always brought us back to center, and we always went through the process. I've served with a lot of people over 54 years, some of that in the military where there were firebrands who were leaders, there were charismatic leaders. In the hospital industry, there were leaders of all types. The one thing that I will always remember about Brent is his quiet, steadfast, cautious, but always correct advice and assistance. No matter what it was, what the issue was, and even if he felt he might be on the wrong end of the discussion in terms of where the emotions were going, he was always willing to say what he truly felt about a situation, and usually it brought people back to center where we need to be. I think he should run for president and bring this country back to center, but Brent doesn't need to lose any more hair. So I would not do that, Brent, if I were you. I first met Brent when I came to Tiffin to be the CEO at the hospital, and Brent was on the hospital board. And then I got introduced to Susan, and Susan has this wonderful personality that just lights up a room, and so she compliments Brent to a T. And I think the community is very lucky to have both of them as members of this community. But Brent, I will always remember your leadership, your quiet style, the way you helped us through so many difficult situations. And I know the council will echo those remarks and feel the same way. Each one of them have probably had the same experience with you in terms of that quiet, calm, steadfast advice and assistance. So thank you so much for all those years that you've spent. If you need help moving the 20-some file cabinets from your basement to his, I'll be available. Since I now am formally retired, I'd be happy to help with that. But best of luck to you, Brent.
Thank you, Dale.
Anyone else? So we're all very well said. If there's no one else for oral communications, we'll move on to motions. Are there any motions this evening? Okay. We are now under resolutions and ordinances.
Resolution number 23-31, introduced by Chris Mansour. Resolution authorizing the mayor to prepare and submit an application to participate in Ohio's Urban Forestry Grant Program, Emerging Programs 2023, to execute contracts as required and declaring an emergency.
This is the third reading of Resolution 23-31. Councilmember Mansour.
I move for passage of Resolution 23-31.
Thank you. There's a motion for passage of Resolution 23-31. Is there a second? Councilmember Thacker.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll first vote on the emergency.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Ordinance Resolution 23-31 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Resolution number 23-32, introduced by Chris Mansour, a resolution declaring the official intent and reasonable expectation of the City of Tiffin on behalf of the state of Ohio, the borrower, to reimburse its 261 OPWC fund for the 2023 OPWC Pavement Repair Program, CP08AA, and East Davis, Elm, etc. streets resurfacing project with the proceeds of tax exempt debt of the state of Ohio and declaring an emergency.
This is the first reading of Resolution 23-32. Councilmember Mansour.
Madam President, I motion that we suspend the three reading rule and move that we immediately pass this resolution 23-32. First time I did that, so.
It's okay, you did just fine.
Well done. At last time.
First and last.
First and last.
There is a motion for suspension of Resolution 23-32 and immediate passage. Is there a second? Councilmember Reesner.
I'll second the motion, Madam President.
Thank you. There is a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Reesner.
This is for a $500,000 pavement repair program reimbursement.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll first vote on the suspension.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Suspension passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the emergency.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Resolution 23-32 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance number 23-91, introduced by Kevin Reesner. Ordinance amending Chapter 197 of the Tiffin Codified Ordinances regarding the city income tax code to comply with recent state statutory changes and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the third reading of Ordinance 23-91. Councilmember Reesner.
I move for passage of ordinance 23-91.
Thank you. There's a motion for passage of Ordinance 23-91. Is there a second? Councilmember Mansour.
I'll second.
Thank you. There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on the passage, or excuse me, we'll first vote on the emergency.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Ordinance 23-91 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance number 23-92, introduced by Kevin Reesner. Ordinance amending Section 135.03 of Tiffin Codified Ordinances, clarifying the composition of the city's Investment Advisory Committee and approving the city's revised investment policy.
Thank you. This is the third reading of Ordinance 23-92. Councilmember Reesner.
I move for passage of ordinance 23-92, Madam President.
Thank you. There's a motion for passage of Ordinance 23-92. Is there a second? Councilmember Mansour.
I'll second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, we will now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Ordinance 23-92 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance number 23-93, introduced by Chris Mansour. Ordinance authorizing the Chief of the Fire Rescue Division to execute an addendum to an agreement for mutual aid with the Fostoria Police Division, Tiffin Police Department, Fostoria Fire Department, and Seneca County Sheriff's Office for certain law enforcement purposes and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the third reading of Ordinance 23-93. Councilmember Mansour.
I move for passage of ordinance 23-93.
Thank you. There's a motion for passage of Ordinance 23-93. Is there a second? Councilmember Wilkins.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we will first vote on the emergency.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Ordinance 23-93 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance number 23-94, introduced by Kevin Reesner. Annual ordinance appropriating certain sums from all city funds for current and other expenditures of the City of Tiffin for fiscal year beginning January 1, 2024, and ending December 31, 2024.
Thank you. This is the third reading of ordinance 23-94. Councilmember Reesner.
I move for passage of ordinance 23-94.
Thank you.
Before
yes.
you accept that, we need to amend that with the new Exhibit A, which there were some changes that the finance director had mentioned.
3%, right? That's the pay ordinance. You're done. You got it. This is the budget next year.
Is there a motion to amend ordinance 23-94, outlining the changes that the finance director discussed earlier in her report? Councilmember Reesner.
Yeah, I'll make that motion. Motion to amend with Exhibit A, ordinance 23-94.
Law Director, so just to be clear, sorry, we vote on the motion to amend, and then we'll vote on the passage of the ordinance. Yes, okay. So there's a motion to amend ordinance 23-94 with Exhibit A. Is there a second, Councilmember Thacker?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion, please.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Motion passes with a vote of 7-0. Councilmember Reesner.
I move for immediate passage, or 23-94. I move for passage of 23-94.
Amended ordinance.
Amended ordinance 23-94.
Thank you. There's a motion for passage of amended ordinance 23-94. Is there a second? Councilmember Perry.
Yeah, second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we will vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Amended ordinance 23-94 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance number 23-95, introduced by Kevin Reesner. Ordinance amending and restating ordinance number 22-112, the city pay ordinance to comply with the state of Ohio minimum wage law to establish appropriate rates of compensation for certain employees and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the third reading of ordinance 23-95. Councilmember Reesner.
I move for passage of ordinance 23-95.
Thank you. There's a motion for passage of ordinance 23-95. Is there a second? Councilmember Spar.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will first vote on the emergency.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 23-95 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance number 23-96, introduced by Kevin Reesner. Ordinance authorizing the transfer of funds and payment of bond and loan principal and interest and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the third reading of ordinance 23-96. Councilmember Reesner.
I move for passage of ordinance 23-96.
Thank you. There is a motion for passage of ordinance 23-96. Is there a second? Councilmember Mansour.
I'll second.
Thank you. There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll first vote on the emergency.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Ordinance 23-96 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance 23-97, introduced by Kevin Reesner. Ordinance authorizing the transfer of funds from the 101 General Fund to the 242 Park and Recreation Fund and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the third reading of ordinance 23-97. Councilmember Reesner.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for passage of ordinance 23-97.
Thank you. There is a motion for passage of ordinance 23-97. Is there a second? Councilmember Thacker.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll first vote on the emergency.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 23-97 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance number 23-98, introduced by Kevin Reesner. Ordinance authorizing the transfer of funds from the 552 Sewer Revenue Fund to the 557 Combined Sewer Separation Fund and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the third reading of ordinance 23-98. Councilmember Reesner.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for passage of ordinance 23-98.
Thank you. There is a motion for passage of ordinance 23-98. Is there a second? Councilmember Spar.
I second that motion, Madam President.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will now vote on the emergency.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Ordinance 23-98 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance number 23-99, introduced by Kevin Reesner. Ordinance amending Budget Ordinance 22-108 to make year-end budget adjustments and approve necessary transfers and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the first reading of ordinance 23-99. Councilmember Reesner.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for immediate passage of ordinance 23-99, suspending City Council's three reading rule.
Thank you. There is a motion for suspension of council's three reading rule and immediate passage of ordinance 23-99. Is there a second? Councilmember Mansour.
I'll second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Reesner.
This is for the year-end budget adjustments. These were provided to us in the committee of the whole from the finance director, and some of which involve final payments and so forth. And a lot of the sewer stuff is getting moved to next year, so there's a big decrease there. So,
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll first vote on the suspension.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Suspension passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the emergency.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Mansour.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Reesner.
Yes.
Spar.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Ordinance 23-99 passes with a vote of 7-0.
Ordinance number 23-100, introduced by Vicki Wilkins. Ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept easements and take all other actions necessary to acquire easements for collecting water samples near the city's landfill property and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the first reading of ordinance 23-100. Councilmember Wilkins.
I move for immediate passage of ordinance 23-100, suspending council's three reading rule.
Thank you. There is a motion for suspension of council's three reading rule and immediate passage of ordinance 23-100. Is there a second? Councilmember Mansour.
I second.
The motion. Got it. Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Wilkins.
As the law director explained in our committee of the whole, right now we have an informal agreement with Ricky LLC, which owns the land right now, to collect water and vegetation samples. And now the EPA is mandating that we have a formal easement for this. So
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll first vote on the suspension.
Councilmember Wilkins. Yes. Jones?
Yes.
Mansour?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Reesner?
Yes.
Spar?
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Suspension passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage. Or excuse me, on the emergency. Sorry.
Councilmember Wilkins?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Mansour?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Reesner?
Yes.
Spar?
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Emergency passes with a vote of 7-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Wilkins?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Mansour?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Reesner?
Yes.
Spar?
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Ordinance 23-100 passes with a vote of 7-0.
And that concludes the legislation, Madam President.
Thank you. We are now under other business of the agenda. City Administrator.
Yes, thank you, Council President. The Bill Thornton is here tonight. He was always very quiet and stoic, and I am not. So with that, I wanted to recognize very quickly, I know we've talked about the mayor and law director, and unfortunately, I'm going to embarrass you both again. But wanted to thank the council members whose last meeting this is as well. And we have a few parting gifts for you. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go through the list and speak to each of you. Starting with Councilmember Mansour. I appreciate that you stepped in earlier this year. It's been great getting to know you here on council. And I think that in your short time, you've maybe seconded more motions than any other council member before.
Just tonight.
So definitely leaving your mark on history there. But we appreciate both your time here on council, and for years, Councilmember Mansour had served in the Civil Service Commission. So we appreciate your years of service to the city of Tiffin. And Liz is going to bring out some gifts for you all. By the way, any of you are allowed to also take your nameplate if you so desire. Councilmember Spar, again, it's been an honor to work with you. You and Councilmember Thacker, you both stepped in at one of the most interesting times, I think, in our city's history. There's the same meeting that we swore in our first female mayor was the first meeting you both started. So there was a lot of pickup. It's been an interesting 18 months with you on council. And again, I appreciate your time here. And I look forward to continuing to work with you in the county. We've got another interesting year coming up. So it's going to be great getting to work together through that. Not so much different and very much similar. Councilmember Wilkins, I think that your first meeting was about the same time that Mayor Montz had said that he was leaving council. So, you came in again at a very interesting time, and you have weathered that storm with us, and you have just been such a joy to get to sit next to and get to work with this time. So I appreciate so very much you being here, and you've, again, left just an indelible mark on this community. And so we thank you for that. Councilmember Perry, who came in, I've known Dan for a long time. We went to school together. And it has been nothing short of a joy to watch how you've come into the community and become a business owner and given back to the community. And I've enjoyed that so much. And then getting to work with you here on council has just been an absolute honor. So, the thing is that I always know that Dan and I can have quality conversations. And when you have, things that you need to bring up, you're always willing to talk to me about it. And I really, really appreciate that. That's been one of the best things about working with you. So we thank you so much for your time. Councilman Jones, I have admired your dedication since you were a concerned citizen coming to city council meetings. It's been so great seeing how you just care so much about the people of the Second Ward, and you want to do what's right for them. We love to laugh and joke, but it's really that dedication that brought you onto city council and will be the thing that I think people remember most about you. So I appreciate so much your time here with us.
There's going to be.
Can I say a few words?
Rebuttal?
He didn't have the heart to say it.
It took me a while, but Director Law Howard took me aside one day and told me that every problem may not be a problem. And it took me thinking about that because I thought every problem needed to be solved right away. So that was one thing. Item 2, I wanted to share, maybe I'm a slow learner. It took me 6 or 8 months on city council to learn what an emergency was and why we're suspending the 3 reading rule. It took me a long time to come to grips with that. And item 3, I got on city council to make a difference. When I sat in the gallery in 2019, I just heard pass, pass, pass. Didn't hear much of an explanation. 4 years later, I heard Councilmember Reeser tonight explaining why we were passing something. Who else? Councilmember Wilkins explained. And so I think with my leadership, or not nagging, that's not the correct word. Kept bringing it up, I think we're discussing. Persistent. Thank you. There you go. So,
Very persistent.
enjoyed my time.
Thank you. And to wrap a couple things up, Mayor Iannantuono, it has been an absolute pleasure to get to work with you. I've said it a few times, I'll say it again publicly. This community owes a great deal to you for coming into this role, for your time on school board, for your time on city council, for your time with Vanguard Sentinel. And we just can't thank you enough for what you've done for this community. So, sorry, I'm breaking up.
Yeah, because you're going to make me get the Kleenex out.
And then finally, I know a lot of other people have said it already, but Law Director Howard, thank you so much for your time, for your years of dedication to this community.
Those are beautiful. Thank you. Aw.
Now you can have.
See, I jumped the gun, I'm sorry. I didn't let her have her moment, I apologize.
I can't even see her.
Okay. Maybe that was the plan. That is so sweet, thank you. They're beautiful. Oh, more. Oh, wow. That is just a fantastic picture. Have you guys seen this picture?
Everyone together, so I did my best.
Oh, thank you.
For our luck.
So again, Brent, we thank you for your time. You've been a joy to work with. Just, absolutely really enjoyed working with you. From my time at the newspaper to now, you've always been you've always been there to help me out, and I really appreciate that. So, and from myself and the city, thank you all so much. It takes true dedication to give yourselves to this community, and it's thankless, and we all appreciate what you've done for us. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Please.
Can I do a rebuttal to that? I wouldn't say it's thankless whatsoever. I have thoroughly enjoyed this job. The staff has been really good about warning me to stay off Facebook, so it really made it enjoyable. Because people can be mean, but I've ignored that, and I have learned so much. I've experienced so much, did so many things I've never done before, and I say this all the time, but I sincerely mean it. Aaron Montz gifted me with an awesome department head staff. They're second to none, and I am gifting them to Mary-elect Wilkinson. They were a great team. They were a fun bunch to hang out with, and I'm very proud of every one of them, and they manage their staffs well. And this community is in good hands with Nick. Nick has done a phenomenal job stepping up and didn't miss a beat when Dale retired. And of course, like they've been saying with Brent, I've known Brent a really long time, and there's been a few times I've been frustrated because darn it, I wanted to do that. And he kept saying no. But you've just been top notch and a pleasure to work with, and just integrity is the best word to describe you. And it's just really been a pleasure, and I will miss all of you, and I will be back to bug you once in a while so you don't miss me too much. But I just really appreciate having had this opportunity. It's It's a great way. I got forced in retirement years ago and did not want to be. And this time I'm choosing to retire. The husband, I finally listened to him. He wanted me to retire. But I'm retiring on my terms this time. And so I'm retiring happily and have these very fond memories of all of you. It's been great. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say a few things. As my last meeting, Mayor, it was a joy to be able to sit next to you for all those years before you went up to that seat and moved away from me. But you really stepped up when we needed you the most. And this town was, we just needed a leader, needed somebody to fill that. And you did a great job. So I want to thank you for that and wish you the best. Brent, I have thought I've been on this for a long time. Like I've been on for 4 years. I'm like, that is so long. And here you are, 24 years past mine. So it's just, if you talk to anybody around the town, class is the word that everybody uses to describe you. And it's been such a joy to be able to work with you, and you will be missed. I remember going through all that stuff a couple years ago, and I was on the phone. He's probably, dang, he's calling me again, you know. But he was so great to rely on, being a young council, having, you know, a lot of times people would come with questions or ask certain things where we all just kind of look at him because we're like, can you help? You know, and he was always there to give good advice and good leadership. So thank you and enjoy your retirement. All of the guys going out, it was awesome to work with y'all. Thank you for stepping up and, you know, when we had people going in and out, it was, you know, it was a wild ride. Everybody staying on. I know I said it last week, but you know, just stay with your heart and don't let anybody persuade you to do the easy vote. You know, I think that can be easy to do sometimes. So I'll miss you all and be watching from the Facebook. So.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilkins.
I just want to say it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the city of Tiffin. When Bryce kind of alluded to this, when they asked me to step in, and when actually former Mayor Mounts asked me to step in and serve on city council, I remember one of the first things that Dale Thornton said to me, he says, okay, you have to go down now to the finance. And I was like, I get paid to do this? I had no idea. I was going to do it out of the kindness of my heart, I thought. So it's been a lot of fun. You know, my professional career has been in higher education. So coming into something completely different, I've learned a lot, and I've gotten to work with wonderful people that have differing opinions. But I think Mayor Dawn said it best last week. At the end of the day, we all respect each other's decisions at the end, and we move forward as a team. So I really appreciate that, and I hope that the new council can do that as well. You can have differing opinions, but at the end of the day, you have to stick together when a decision is made and move forward, even if you don't necessarily agree with it. Mayor Dawn, when everything was happening, my first meeting was actually, I hadn't voted for you at first, and I'm so glad that you were able to step into this role. And the one thing I'll never forget that you said was, I just want to right the ship. I'm going to come in, I'm going to steady the ship, and I'm going to get you guys through this. And I think you did exactly that, and a little bit more too. So I appreciate your leadership. You did it with grace, and I just think you did a wonderful job in your role. So thank you so much for stepping up and being such a good leader for the city. Brent, thank you so much for your, I think I heard it a lot, steady leadership, always steady, calm. There's a calmness about you when you're explaining things. And I think I think Dale said you kind of bring everybody together and you help people think a little rationally. You know, sometimes people are over here, and I think you just kind of bring it all together and you package it really nicely to make people just think properly and make the right decision. So, and the right decision for the city. So I didn't get to work with you very long, but thank you for your leadership. It's been wonderful to work with you. And to the exiting council members, it's been so fun to work with all of you. Like I said, I've really had fun. This was different for me, so I really appreciate everybody explaining things to me. Nick, I'm always nudging you, saying stuff like, what's going on? Dale, I did that too. That's why I refused to move this seat. So I wanted to stay next to the city administrator in case I had questions. And to those that you are staying on, just keep fighting the good fight and representing our city well. I think you guys will do a great job. And President, Council, President and Council Boyle. You've done a wonderful job, so thank you so much for your leadership as well.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything?
Can you give me a second? Everybody else has already said everything, so we'll just say ditto to that, but I've been, I couldn't see you. Well, now I can't see Brent, so perfect. We'll slide it back and forth. I've been in public service in one way or another for a long time, starting with the city, actually on the Civil Service Commission with Councilperson Mansour. Then I had to leave that because I went to work for the city. You're not allowed to do both, apparently. I don't know, dumb rules. Public service is just that, public service. Same thing, by the way, I didn't know you got paid for this. I was like, really? I have to fill out, that's just more paperwork. But I appreciated that, and I appreciate everybody here, and I felt like there was nobody here that I couldn't talk to if I had a question, or if I had an issue, or what do you think about this, or it was really nice having three of us right in the same neighborhood. You just knew that I'll just run down there and ask them. And there were hard decisions, and there were difficult things, and but the best part about this was, like you said, Vicki, you vote and you move on, and it didn't affect your relationship with any of the other people, because everybody here, regardless of their view, only has the best interest for the city and the people, and so you could always count on that. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate that with the people coming on. I appreciate that with our mayor-elect. I think we've got a good leader there, and I'm going to be around. In my capacity in the county, I'm going to be back in this room many times over the next year, so we'll be talking a lot about the eclipse, which I'm about tired of talking about. But also our 5-year mitigation plan is coming up. We'll be working on that this next year, so you'll all be involved in that. We'll be talking about that as well. So I'm not going anywhere. I'll see you here pretty soon in January, probably. Thank you all for the opportunity, and I'll be back.
Thank you.
Thanks.
One thing I want to add is for the council people especially, is I don't think people realize all that goes into being a council member or serving in your roles as well until you're in it, right? And I think one of the big things that I also want to do is thank your families for allowing you to do this, because this is all time that you could have spent with them. And it takes a lot of time. There's special meetings, there's committee meetings, there's, things that we go to. So thank you to your families as well. Anyone else have anything? Brent, I can't look at you.
Yeah. I just have one thing, and I think I've heard it here tonight, is that, and it is that looking forward, not looking back, but looking forward, democracy is really is going to be well managed, and I guess I would say you are stewards of democracy, all of you. And I think it's in good shape in Tiffin, Ohio. In particular, I look at the leadership that's going forward with Bridget as president of council, and I'm sure you'll still be around, and Cheyenne and Nick and Kathy and Kevin and Liz and the newly elected members of our community that are going to be coming, Lee and Zach and others. I feel so optimistic about our community. And so, we love to look back, and we love to think about a lot of things that have happened and share memories, but I'm really looking forward to all the good things that you're going to do for our community. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Does anyone else have anything? Okay. Well, seeing nothing else, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could make a quick announcement, and that is that years ago, when Brent started this job, the council and Tom Zoller would all head over